Now, topic of aging and graying. Okay. Now, when it comes to aging, let me tell you. So when it comes to my beard, I get a bunch of people that point out my beard. So when I first started growing my beard, I was faced with a lot of resistance. Let me tell you. People were, because I had cut my beard like 3 different times. One time it was growing pretty long and I literally chopped it right here and then started again, right? But we'll take it back like all the way, because this most recent time it's been like 6 years, right, that I haven't cut it. But like when I really just started, right, I had so many people giving me every reason on why they thought I should not grow my beard. I shouldn't grow my hair. I shouldn't grow my beard. And here's the thing, right? I'm gonna tie all of this in together under stages of aging, or stages of aging and graying. So before, right, I'm gonna preface this whole like starting the beard growing thing by saying, when I was younger, I was not making the best decisions, right? And they say people, human beings, like our brains, because I don't know what the discrepancy is between women and men, or boys and girls, or young or the sexes as far as young adults are concerned. I'm talking about like brain hemisphere wise, right? But our brains, according to the research, doesn't even fully develop until like beyond our mid-20s, right? So if our brains are not developing until like almost like 30, right? And then and that's just brain development, right? Not even talking about like maturity, because they always say like women mature earlier than men do, right? So if a woman, let's say both of us, men and women, like we equally mature in the late 20s, right? They say maturity wise, in general, women will mature a bit earlier, right? So let's just say women mature around 30 or like early 30s, and then men, it may take like a bit later, right? I don't know, maybe late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s even. So you got to keep in mind, right? And I'm not using this as an excuse whatsoever, because you make poor decisions, regardless of your age. If you're older than 18 and you're making, even if you're younger than 18 and you're making like really not good decisions, that's on you, Obviously, grown folks are going to look at people that are younger and just unfortunately chalk it up to like, you're young and dumb in a sense, right? But at the same time, there's no like, there's ramifications, there are repercussions for everything, right? And usually people go through it as a result. And I went through it, and I used to make a lot of poor decisions. And as a result, because when you get older, one of the things that I notice that's like it's like a natural punishment in a sense is like grain, you know? Because as you age, because it could be a whole bunch of reasons, and as anyone who checks in to this channel by now, you know I'm like, health is like a pretty big thing for me. So I'm constantly talking about like good health practices because health matters, right? Healthy habits are important. Health is wealth. So I'm not going to say I can't improve. Of course I can. But at least health-wise, I think I'm pretty decent. So when it comes to graying, I wouldn't say health is like a major reason as to why I would be graying, right? And, you know, it doesn't matter your age so much because new research is kind of showing that you can reverse graying. You can even reverse dormant hair, right? As long as it's dormant. So, and I'm talking about like much older. I'm talking about like going into like your 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? As far as reversing graying. So with that being said, if we take out the health component, then, and we tie in what I just prefaced by saying with poor decision making, then the ramification for me personally that told me like, look, this is what nature left you, you know, as far as like a reminder of your poor decisions. And for me, it was, now you get gray hair, right? So for every time you make a dumb choice, it's like you're going to get more gray hairs because of the stress, right? Because I already said I took out the health part. So it's not my diet, it's not my habits, not my sleep, not my hydration, not my sun intake or any of that stuff, right? So it's like, okay, you were making decisions that weren't so bright. And then as a result, the stress that came because you had to suffer repercussions is like, now you're getting gray hairs because of the stress that you get hit with. So when you're younger, you don't really see it as easily, right? But when you get older, whatever's happening in the body, it's like it's showing, you know? And thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. I just, you know, and I do agree because the grays then give you character, right? Because then it's like, okay, when I went through stuff, like anyone that has looked into my eyes, because you would say like someone who's been through a lot in life, wow, you can see it in their eyes, like they've been through some stuff, right? But people that know me and know my story, they actually know I've been through some serious things in life. And they always say, like, how do you look so normal? Like, how do you go through everything you went through and like your eyes are still kind of soft? And I had to make that part of what I worked on, actually, you know? But going back to like the grays look awesome thing, I do think like the signs of stress add character because that is the experience that's visibly shown as it's like a badge of honor, you know? It's like a display of like what I went through in a not so telling way, even though it's clearly on Front Street, right, so to say. So for me, the grays are parts of my experiences that are visible right here for all to see. So as I got older, I was no longer making these foolish mistakes. I was making better choices, and I was learning to trust myself more and more. So before, it was about me making not so bright decisions, but now it's about, oh shoot, the people that I interact with, like, maybe I have gotten to a certain level of where now I trust myself, but the people I interact with, I'm not quite sure if they've gotten to those levels within themselves. So now it's like when I interact with them, it's like, oh man, like, I've already given myself gray hairs, I don't want to have more gray hairs because others are still finding themselves, and I've kind of already found myself in certain ways. So it's like, and this brings me to an important point, because especially with women, right? So I've worked with men as like a physical trainer in many different disciplines as far as like physical fitness is concerned. And then it got to a point where I was tested to train women. And then it's like, okay, so I was questioning myself, like, can I do this, right? Can I train women? Because, and it's not like I was doubting myself because I didn't think I was capable. And I'll get to the point here. It's the fact that, like I was saying about my eyes, like, my eyes are kind of like, they're not telling the whole story, and that's why I say people who know me would actually be like, how, because my eyes are supposed to be way harder, but they're not. So that's where the questioning came, because I know I'm really hard inside. So it's like, can I soften myself? Even though women are like, well, I need that. Like, I need someone tough, But, yeah, I'm like, hey, Carson, I'm very hard, So then it's like, I had to challenge myself to be able to train women. And when I look back as a trainer, it's like, I did all right, I did pretty well, considering it's like how do I soften myself but still remain tough? Because I'm already tough from within, but how do I strike that balance, right? So now here's the thing. Now, beyond the training thing, on an emotional and a physical level, an emotional and psychological level, it's like, how do I, because beyond personal training, it's like, how do I actually, like, this live right now is perfect, right? Because I would want this to not, Carson, am I supposed to remember you? Are we talking about live or are we talking about outside? When I mean, like, the people that check in, I wouldn't want it to just be a male thing. I would want women to be checking in as much as men, right? But here's the thing. I'm going to be myself. And at the same time, it's like, when I look at all my interactions, I'm like, if I did well as a trainer, I also want to do well as a person, So this is me having intimate dialogue and me being introspective in saying, I would welcome women to feel comfortable, safe, and secure, in being able to feel confident in engaging, not just with me, because there's going to be a time where, like I said yesterday, I won't be able to keep up. So I would want women in general to interact, period, and I don't, if I'm kind of like the one that's setting this off, I wouldn't want women to come in and not feel comfortable, and that's not just pertaining to YouTube and these live streams or whatever, this channel, period. It's just from a personal standpoint, I would want to interact in my future in ways where a more gentle version of myself is given out, because like I said, I know I'm tough from within. I'm actually very stoned, and I'm constantly battling myself to find the softer feminine side somewhere and to actually put that out, and I will find it. I will balance it, and I will, no matter which female I interact with anywhere, whether it's actually in person, through social media, whatever, I will strike that balance, and I will get to a place where I say, well, I did well with that too, So back to the topic, right? When it comes to stages of grain, aging in grain, so now it's like my hair is starting to gray, right? Because I'm going through stuff right now, right? I'm going through a lot, and I've been going through stuff. So like my face is not this part of my face, but my beard, right? Like my hair has shown it, and fortunately not so much my face or body. So youthfulness is there, which is great. But my hair is starting to, because my hair is not really gray, but my hair is graying because I'm going through stuff, and it's always like one of those things that it doesn't show my skin so much, but it shows in my hair. So right now I'm extremely determined, not just because of the graying and the aging, but because I want to get over it. I want to get done with it, and I want to get to a place where, okay, because there's always going to be something in life, right? We're always going to go through stuff where there's going to be something else that pops up, regardless of what we see on a 5-year horizon of where we want to be, right? Because if you're on it, you'll get those things accomplished. But at the same time, it's like there's always going to be challenges. So right now with what I'm going through, it's like I want to be able to get past this, so I'll have a whole bunch of relief. And then maybe I could stop the hair graying until the next major whatever happens in life, that I have to go through. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover, which is basically stages of aging and graying, and I did also want to cover how I would find the balance. I would strike that balance to be able to get in touch with my femininity, and I'm serious about that, because in a world that's at least 50% women, You know, it's like you don't want to, at least how I think, you don't want to be like 1,000% masculine where it's like I'm just oozing testosterone, you know? I don't think I could be oozing testosterone like where I'm at right now anyways, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm trying to say, you know? I'm trying to find a balance. Like, for example, right? When I pay attention to women, I see a lot of, and this is what I mean by the masculinity and femininity thing, right? I see a lot of things with women that is like, you know, I'm sure men could agree with me on this. It's like, I don't know, it's like, it's cute. It's like, that's how they are, you know? And I'm not one of those people. This is me just speaking on how I am as a person. I don't degrade women. I don't put women down. I don't say something right here publicly and then behind closed doors or when I'm with a bunch of men, I'm going to be like getting in on a whole bunch of jokes. And anyone who knows me knows what time it is, right? And then I'm just going to be like putting women down, like, and stereotyping women because there's a bunch of men around and like, ha, 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 he, right? We were talking about women. No, I don't do that. Just like I don't kiss and tell, period. So, like, my form of respecting women is like, I'm a straight shooter when it comes to women. So you're not gonna ever catch me put down women in any type of way that's like stereotyping or classing women where it's like, oh, this is how women are, you know? But at the same time, I can see a bunch of like cute things about women that I can talk about, you know? Some people, men, women, might see things that are not attractive about those things that maybe I see cute. But sometimes, like, whatever it is that is negative that's pointed out, I think sometimes we have to look in from within ourselves to see why we're attacking those things, you know? Because I'll give you some examples, right? Like, if men are like, you know, some of the things you hear about women in general that are like stereotypical, like, oh, they're only worried about themselves and what they can get out of you, like from a male's perspective, right? So honestly, how I see that is like, you as a man, you don't ever have to let any person get the best of you in anything. Like, you don't have to like allow anyone to take advantage of you, male, female, whatever. So if you're then just gonna like classify all women in this bracket of like they're just this one way, you gotta question yourself. Like, how did it even get there to why you're like hurt to why you're saying this about all women, you know? And I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe white people are anything, black people are this, Asians are that, like in derogatory ways. I'm not gonna do that. Look, I've been attacked by many pit bulls in my life, right? When I say attacked, I mean like literally attacked. Like, I remember, like, you know, I don't know who checks into these, but like people that know me that were there would vouch for some of these like Fat Joe like stories, right? But there was this one time where this pit bull actually like attacked me and then like almost grabbed my balls, like, but it was like right below my balls, right? On my, like I had pants on, right? I had to literally strip my pants off because like 5 dudes were on this dog trying to get the dog off me because it latched on to my upper thigh and it had the death grip on me, shaking, right? So my boys were trying to get the dog off me, and one of the guys was clocking the dog in the face, which I felt bad. Like, yo, don't hit the dog. Like, whatever's going on with the dog is attacking me, but like, you don't need to attack the dog, right? Just find a way to get the dog off me, right? So anyways, long story short, I had to strip to get the pants off so that the dog, you know, could release me. And keep in mind, there have been many times where I have been attacked by pit bulls. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but it's happened, right? But does that mean I'm gonna be like, I hate all pit bulls? Because I unfortunately have a lot of bad experiences with pit bulls? No. And that's my point. Like, I may have bad experiences in a certain neighborhood, but I'm not gonna crap on the whole neighborhood or a whole city, or a whole people, or a whole gender. It's not gonna happen. Because I look from within myself and see like what could have been done differently, or how could I have thought differently, you know? And I know I'm like going off on crazy tangents that are like now several minutes long, but I'm talking here about stages, you know? And it's not just aging and graying in the physical sense. It's maturity, and it's how we process our thoughts, you know? And I think if we all did that, we could be the best versions of ourselves. So that's what I think. And at any time, I'm sure as these lives progress, people can feel free to engage. But these are my thoughts, and this is what I think about the stages of aging and graying, how I see it, you know? And at this point, I accept the grays, and that's why I don't want to actually like dye my hair. I don't want to dye my beard. I don't want to dye my hair. Like, I go gray everywhere. Let it be. Let it be, you know? Because now I look at all of that as like, and I just broke it all down in depth, right? I just broke it all down as far as why I, like, how I see it, why it happens, and now why I sport it, why I rock it, you know? And I will continue to. If I go completely gray, hair, beard, whatever, because I'm sure there are people like, if he just dyed his hair, he would look so much younger, you know? But that's like early on when I was talking, early on in this stream, when I was talking about even growing my hair to begin with, my beard to begin with. It was like I was faced with all this resistance because people were like giving me all the reasons as to why I shouldn't grow my hair and why I shouldn't grow my beard, you know? And I just, as time went on, I learned to trust myself, and it was like, no, I'm going to have faith in what I want to do and what I believe in. Because if a person doesn't feel me or accept me for me being myself, then I'm not your guy. I'm not your person, you know? And that turned out to be prophetic, because now people tell me all the time about how they like my beard. And to think how many people said whatever reasons they were so adamant about why I shouldn't grow my beard and how it would not help me. You know, you're not gonna get girls, no one's gonna like you, they're gonna like, you know, back in the days it was like you're gonna be looked at as a terrorist. Like it'd be like all these different reasons. And I was like, I'm doing it anyways, you know? And now people stop me everywhere and give me compliments. See how life goes? So on that note, stages of aging and graying. I think I more than broke this down in depth. And, you know, I have this, I'll show you. So I have this like contraption. It's I don't know what this is called. IoT. So I wanted to set this up so that I could have a hands-free view on the road, because the one that I have here, it doesn't go up that high, you know. But that thing that was a fail. That didn't work out. It just wasn't it. So I couldn't make that happen, but that's why I just have this set up the way it is. And, you know, from time to time, sure, maybe even later on, do another live, who knows? And we might just stroll around and get a visual of where we're driving around, you know, here in New York City. But that's really it. Like I said, I went fully in detail about this topic, and I'll catch you all next time. Thank you for checking in.